did switch it to video, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so this is good. I don't have food and she's following me. So while I have a connection, I'm gonna try to strengthen that connection by moving by her. What does she do? She leaves, so I gotta push, say no, I'm talking to the left eye. So I'm just gonna push on that hip until she comes in. Now she's coming in with an attitude, so I'm gonna stand up to her and say, hey, that's unacceptable. I'm gonna ask for her to follow me and disengage the hind. And I'm gonna keep doing it until this, I'll bite you if I can. We want that to go away. And so here, I just make sure she doesn't put me in the right eye. Not in the right eye. Okay, so she's trying to say, you know what? You've got too much control right now. I'm gonna try and establish some back. And so I'm gonna say, all right, you can do whatever you want, but notice now I'm further to the outside, which kind of makes her come to me. So I say, yeah, go ahead. I'll just work my way out. And that kind of makes her come to me. It just, I don't have to ask for it. It just happens. You know, so like if I stand here in the middle and I put pressure on her and she starts to do her little circle, she goes to do her circle. All I got to do is move to the outer edge, and then before long, she's coming back at me automatically, and she don't even know that I made that happen. So I'm just going to adjust my rope here before I do anything else. So here, she's thinking about leaving, so I'm going to push on the hip a little bit, and then I'm going to start working my way to the edge. And right now, I'm behind her, but watch, real soon, she'll be behind me. Right now, we're at 180. Here she comes. Now she's going to go by me, so I just got to go over here to make sure she doesn't go right. And so now I'll go back to the outer edge. And as soon as she gets to that 180 mark, she comes. I just want to make sure she don't go right. And I'll try to draw her out. So right now I'm using a lot of draw. And what we need is to get some push on that hip and get that hip to work. Because if that hip doesn't move over, drawing the eye is okay, and you know, and that's one of the things when people round pen, they step out, catch the eye, and draw it in, and that's great. But you're kind of getting in their way and blocking them in order to get them to come, which works. But it'll only work if you've got a place where you can jump out in front of them. So a round pen or a small place like this is fine. But if you're in a big pasture and they're leaving, if you can't push on that hip and get that hip to move over, like see right now she's feeling that as an irritation. And she doesn't want to comply. So now I'm not going to force it. I'm just, right now, she's doing her circles, I'm staying in the middle, and I'm putting pressure on that hip. And so she's contesting. So here I might just say, all right, this is what I would be doing if I wanted you to go like that, but I don't. I'm asking you to come and be with me. Would you like to be with me? So I'm going to put pressure on that hip, and again, I'm on the outer edge. She's going to pass me. So I'm going to push on that hip again. And then I'm just going to stay on this outer edge. And hopefully, she'll come in. Yeah. As long as she comes in politely, which I don't know that I'd call this polite, but she stopped. She's leaning into my hand right now, like, go ahead. But she's not looking at me, so I want to let her know that I want her to be a part of this. I don't want to force anything out of her. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. And so I'll work on that in front of her shoulder a little bit. And if she just still doesn't really want to be pet, so I'm going to avoid petting her if I can. It's kind of hard. I like to use a pet as a reward when they're doing well. So I don't want to go past the shoulder. Okay, so it's good that she put me in this opposite eye, because when we do transitions from going in one direction to another, we want to be able to push on the right hip until, well, either way, right hip to get the left eye or left hip to get the right eye. So when I push on this left hip, I want her to transition through so that I can send her out in the shoulder. And same thing when I come to this side, I want her to transition through like that. And what that does is it makes it so that I don't have to, if she, let's say I'm standing in front of her and I try to send her this way, but she keeps wanting to go this way. So rather than trying to chase her and drive this side that way, I just go over here, push on that hip, and she'll come through, and now I can send her out because I'm on this side. It's easy, right? And I see a lot of people, they'll take a rope or a stick and string, and they'll be way over here, and she's trying to go this way, and they're trying to reach around and slap the shoulder to say go. All you gotta do is this.
Mm-hmm.
Boom. I'm there. Now it's even better. So, those are things people don't realize. You don't have to go over here to see what happens when I do. If I want her to go this way, going this way makes a mess of things and makes it harder. Now you're getting upset at the horse for doing something that you told it to do, and they're just going to create animosity because they don't understand. And so here we work on what they understand and helping them. So here I'm just going to ask her to move out. She doesn't want to. It would be nice. Ask her to move out. So I had to actually push on her. But I want to let her know that there's a request here. Okay, so it's backwards. I really don't want backwards, but we'll take it. She moved over, one piece at a time. Good. So now I'm going to draw her nose back and push her hip out. So I don't have her nose. You see how straight up now she turns. Her body was real straight there, so I just stay with it with a nice kind energy until she relaxes. No? Okay. Now I don't want to go past 90 degrees of the shoulder, because if I do, that might send her off. Good. So I'm judging how good that was by how much drift through the shoulder she gave. She was kind of walking a circle like this. I would have loved more of this. Mm-hmm. Front end staying put, or even stepping in my direction a little bit, as long as she's not crowding me with a head out, mm-hmm. shoulder in, right? If she's coming at me like this, that's no good. But if she's coming at me like this, mm-hmm. then that's okay. Okay. I'll get more particular when I'll say, all right, I need your front feet to stay put. I need them to travel out. I need them to travel backwards and out. I need them to travel backwards and in. I need them to travel forwards and in. I'll get more particular about that as the time goes on, but until she's willing to comply, which she's starting, this is wonderful. You see that automatic transition? I like that. I can hold her here and say, don't transition. And then I can drop my hand and say transition. Transition. Good. So now I can work on this side. And when I work on this side, I want to put my arm up. Say don't. Now she's backing because I'm walking in this direction. But really all I want is a hind end disengagement. But I want her to allow me to be on that side. And so here I'm going to kind of get that transition right away. And then I'm going to walk in and I'm going to push on that hip. I'm going to try and draw the shoulder to me and then step hard into that hind end. Ooh, I like it. She didn't try to leave. So a little bit, this is how I add the stress. Go a little faster with a little bit more of an energy that is still smooth and matter of fact, but a little faster, or maybe just that little bit more abrasive. You know? And so she knows I want to go that way, so she's preparing to go that way, right? This is not her blocking me. I started to go that way. If I go this way, she'll go that way. So if I want her to stay here, I gotta put my arm up and say, no, it's okay. Just now follow. Now go out a little. Now follow. Good girl. Good girl. Okay, so I'm gonna stop and see what she does. Ears go up, she's happy. Good. Okay. Okay. So she leaned on that pressure on the hip a little bit. And so when you watch this back, some of the stuff I'm doing with evaluation in my mind. And then I'll tell you what I feel or see or how it went. So you'll have to go back and try to see that for yourself. So now, I know she doesn't like ropes and strings. They make her nervous, so I'm going to start putting it in play. But I'm going to try and do it in a way that it's having a conversation and she doesn't necessarily feel it unless it's just a gentle flick and touch. Because I don't want her getting irritated. Okay, so we'll have that conversation now. And I'm not going to take it away until she understands that it doesn't mean anything. I'm just using, so right now I'm pushing on her face to send her back, pushing on her hip, pushing on her face, pushing on her hip. Now I'm slowing down because she's slowing down. I want her to know that everything about my energy balances on what she does for me. Okay, so I'm going to start using the rope a little bit more. So we'll push on that hip. She wants to go, that's fine. Now, I'm in that right eye, so we're working on that right hip. We need that right hip to move without, so now I'm not driving her forward, my energy's back here. So here, I'm driving her forward. Watch your step, girl, it's muddy. Right? And so every time a rope or a string, or she did it to me with the stick and string, I don't recall if she did it with the flag. But either way, anytime a tool comes out, she's offended by it.
Mm-hmm.
She feels like somebody's gonna hit her.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm gonna kind of tell her to stop, push her back. Now I'm gonna send her back around, and I'm gonna slowly stop her into this corner, not let her put me in the left eye. Stop her in this corner. She wants to go, I let her go. And I'm gonna try to keep her there, not in the left eye. Jamie's here. So I'm gonna push her into that corner again. Nope, not the left eye. So now I'm gonna stop her from trying to get by me. And so this is what I was getting before under easy. That's all. That's all. Okay, and so now I'll go to talking to the hip. She gives me a look, I'll let it be. Talk to the hip. Notice my belly button's over here. It's not over here, because if I was over here, that might send her forward. Good girl. Good girl. If she comes over, I'll welcome her in, as long as she's polite. I want her to understand that all this antics is foolish. I am not going to hit her unless she continually strikes at me. After a number of times, then I might spank her butt to say, hey, I've had enough of that. I'm trying to be nice to you. Stop it. But otherwise, I'm just going to move around and speak with my energy. I do want to use the rope because seared into her mind is tools are bad, and we want to take that away. She, you know, and let her know that tools are only bad in the wrong hands. It's what's in here that matters. And once she recognizes that in me, she'll stop feeling threatened by the tools. So again, I want to stop her, but not let her pass me. Not the left eye. Okay, so she doesn't understand. She's like, don't, I know what that means. No, it doesn't mean that. And so here I want to, so I'm going to be as quiet as possible, using sort of like a pendulum until she's used to this. Let's see if we can't get that hip to move out with my pendulum here. And just throw that energy. She wants to leave. She can leave, but notice she's leaving quieter. That's good. But I'm still going to follow her. Energy on the hip. I'm going to still use my pendulum. Yeah. Good girl. Good girl. And so I'd really like to be able to do all this stuff right here in the middle and not have to rely on a fence. So I'm going to stand here. Smell it? Feel it? Can I rub you with it?
Morning.
Morning.
Tony comes every time.
He does. He does. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to move with the pendulum. And so now I'll work on the left side in the same way. And if she leaves me on the left side, then I'm going to stay on the left side until we get it at least here. So. So I might need to put my arm up. So she's moving, but I'm not using this yet. So I'm not ready to use this because if I do, She's already moving. I'd like to get her standing still before I make that attempt. Get her back so that I can be in her left eye. Thank you. And you see how simple that is to get in her left eye, right? To throw this over here is just going to send her over there. But if I come over here, she'll come over here too, right? And so now I'm in that left eye again. It's really simple, but so many people miss it. And so here I want to use my pendulum, keep the face over there and use my pendulum. Good. Now I would really like it if the front end didn't drift, but the fact that she's not running away or getting upset at me,
Yep.
that's good. So I'm going to step out a little bit, keep her, whoop, I'll follow her, keep her face here. And so I'm going to push on that hip. Good. Good girl. Good girl. So it's a little different in the left. She tends to want to back. She tends to want to avoid. She's a little less likely to accept me in the left. Like when she walks up to me, she's happy to put me in the left, but I think that's probably from regular handling and leading. But when it comes time to going down that side, she don't like that. So we'll have to work on that. So here I'm going to use that pendulum. She sees it. She changed sides. Now I didn't want her to, but I didn't have my hand up to say stay over there, so I'm not going to get mad at her for doing it. So I didn't tell her not to. Right? Because your energy does, if I'm going this way, she's like, all right, we're going this way. And if I'm going this way, she's like, oh, all right, we're going this way. And then moments I'll be in her left. Here it is, right here, right? Because I'm going that way, so she just knows to follow it. They know to get in the flow.
Yeah.
And you know, if they're willing to be with you, they'll get in the flow, no matter what it's doing. So if we divert ourselves to try and compensate for them, they're going to stop following that energy, and now we compensated for them, and they're going to compensate for us, and it just makes it all wrong. Which, I don't believe in right and wrong. It was exactly what it was supposed to be. We just didn't realize it. Okay, so I'm going to step back a little bit, ask for that hip to move. I'm going to swing the rope a little bit. Good job. Good job. Right. I like that her head's low. I can see she's struggling, but I think she's letting down her barriers a little bit. So that's good. It's going to take a while, I think, for her to let go, because, I mean, when you saw the first video, I wish you could have saw that second session. But. And so here I'm on this side, and I'm going to swing that rope to talk to that hip. Now I would like to see a little bit less forward there. Then I walked off to let her come to me. So this is great. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh. I'll put my arm up, okay? Stay right over here, okay? So she's backing. Okay. She's avoiding as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just get her back by coming over here. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And so here I might touch her butt, nice and gently, just to let her know that there'll be times where I am gonna need to ask for something. I want to make fun of her when she's goofy, rather than yell at her. So I'm going to push on that hip while drawing the arm. Good. Alright, so she seems to be doing well with this. So I'm going to go with something that might be a little bit more abrasive. Not that I want to be abrasive, but I kind of need to get her over the ridiculousness. So we'll go with this. I don't know how this is. I do know how the stick and string is, so not that close. Okay. Okay. And I'm not looking to desensitize her because I want to be able to use this. So when I talk to that hip, it needs to move. Good. And so here, I'm going to talk to the hip, and I'm going to talk to the shoulder. Talk to the hip, talk to the shoulder. Talk to the hip, talk to the shoulder. Talk to the hip, talk to the shoulder. Talk to the hip. So here she goes. That's okay. I'm really gonna make sure she keeps me in that right eye. And now she thinks I'm asking her to go, so I'm gonna show her what it actually means if I'm sending her, because this is taking energy up through her feet to her face. My body energy is pushing on the shoulder and the neck area to ask for forward movement. When I don't want her to go, I'm going to transition this way, and that should pull her in. And so she got a little overwhelmed. That's okay. I'm going to go back to and I'm going to there. You see that step right there kind of came, it wasn't leaking to the left. Instead of coming like this, she kind of started going a little more forward and then over just a little bit. And so I'm going to keep working on that before I ask for that shoulder to move again. So right now I'm pushing on that hip and my body's asking for this to move over. There it is. There it is. So now I could send this shoulder over with a little bit more accuracy. But I'm going to work on this a little bit more before I do it, because I don't want her to get in the habit of running off, because if she's running off, then she's a little worried. So I don't want her too close. She's still a little too close. On in. Those dogs are your twin, huh?
No, she's like, what are those?
Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. So I want to watch those front feet as I push on that. Yeah, good job. Push on that hip. Watch them front feet. See, they're going the wrong way. Yeah, there's a good step. There's a good step. So I'm going to stop for a second. Got a little dizzy looking down at her feet walking like that. So right now I'm just reestablishing her understanding of being in the flow of the energy. See, right now this is avoiding. So mentally, she's not with me. She's here, she's kind of doing what she's supposed to. And most people who do that stuff would think, oh, this is great. But there are pieces missing. You know, she's avoiding. So even though she got a low head and she's licking and chewing, she's still got escape on the mind. There's still some worry in there. So I'm going to work on this side. Make sure she doesn't try to pass me. There, this side the shoulder moves over easy enough. But it's a backup. So let's try and get that in a forward.
It's funny because that's her side. She doesn't
And
like
then a
being moved
backup.
or anything.
And then a forward. Then a backup. That's not a backup. That's not a backup either. Only one step. You gotta give me a couple. You don't do that. You don't do that. Right? So, I was working on getting the shoulder to move over as I'm walking. So, for her to leave me like that, I'm okay. I'm not worried about trying to get back into that eye. Because I was working on getting her to go away. She just went a little too much. So, we'll invite her back over. Thank her for coming. And start the exercise over again. So, can you give me that hind end? Now, I'm looking for her to cross back over and get me in that right eye, like we were before. So I'm drawing her in right now by pushing on her hip and drawing on her eye. And so here I might use the fence to my advantage and just stop right here while pushing on the hip. This will allow me to use more pressure, more energy. She's thinking about going right, so I'm going to say don't. She started going forward. She's thinking of me, so I can stop and just walk and say thank you. There, now I'm in the right eye where I was before, and I can stand here for a second and say that's all I wanted. Thank you very much. You see her eye softening, the peaks on her eyebrows. She's starting to get it. You know, if you don't get appreciation, I mean, you got to get acceptance first, and I'm just starting to see acceptance. But if you don't get to appreciation, you'll never find the magic. So again, we want to work on getting that hind end moved over and watch for that front end to step away. There it is. You know, and a lot of this stuff is slow and boring, but it gets better as you go. If you get it opens up the door to all kinds of cool liberty work, but it transitions into the saddle more than anybody could ever realize, because you're in a flow. Like right now, she can see and feel your visible energy, but on top, she's gonna know that she needs to follow your energy and your flow. So what she feels in your hips, in your legs, and in your reins, which I like to tell people, save your reins for the very last thing. Sorry, I just must have been Sawyer. Save your reins for the very last thing. Use your body position first. Adjust your legs. Start to apply your legs. And before your legs get too heavy, take the slack out of the reins. But before you pull on the rein, apply a heel. And then when you pull on the rein, use your heel with it and say, I wouldn't be doing this if you'd have listened to everything else. Good girl. Good girl. And so here I'm going to try and get her to go backwards a little bit. She's not going backwards. There it is. And take that shoulder over. Take that shoulder over. And come back. Good girl. Nice low head, soft all the way through the spine up to the pole. Good girl. And if I'm not mistaken, no, I was on the right side. So, I mean, that was on the left side. So I'm going to work here and try the same thing until I can get, now see there's a lot of leaking, and then I might send her back, move her hip over, send her back, come forward, forward, forward. So the energy's going into the hip and I'm trying to take it back out the front end. Take her over, back her up, move her over while backing. She's still resistant to go into that right shoulder. So I really want to put a little extra energy on her. Now see, she's starting to leave. I'm just going to walk away and use more flag while I'm leaving. She's coming back, so I'll leave her alone. And I'll say, can we do this? She's starting to leave, so I'm going to use more flag, and I'm going to leave her quickly. She came back. Right? So by adding that energy, I'm just saying, come on, hurry up, let's go. And so, again, she doesn't want to step to the right. So I don't want to force that. I just want to let her know that it's important that she does it. So I might tap here and say, come on now, let's see what happens. So I won't do that. I'm going to let her think her way through it. Let her figure it out. So we got the yield and the return, but we're still having a problem. She wants to try and leak out around me. So here I might reach up and touch her. I might reach up and touch her. And I'm going this way. Those feet, look, those feet should be going this way. She's having a hard time with that. And so here, maybe I'll back her up and try it this way. Maybe she'll be more willing to do it this way. Nope. So she's leaving. I'm just gonna shake the flag, keep walking this way. I'm gonna work my way to the outer edge. And hopefully I can push on that hip and draw her to me. She's avoiding totally, so I'm gonna send her. Okay, so she feels like I'm going to punish her. I'm not punishing her. I'm just showing her what forward momentum should look like when she's doing it and when I'm out. And so now I'm going to transition to ask her to come back. And so I'm on the outside edge now. Now, coming back to me at this stage, you know, I would love it if she'd come all the way in, but at this stage where she's so likely to leave, coming back to me mentally by just looking at me, I'm happy with that. Thank you. Thank you. You see that high peak in the eyebrows again. She's like, I don't know what's going on here, but
She's trying.
yeah. Do that again. So here I'm going to stay right here. Yeah. That was nice. Front end moved right over. Good girl. Good girl. What are you staring at? Huh? Okay, so again, I'm going to put that energy on that hip. And I'm going to ask her. Now she's kind of proud of me here. So at some point, I need her to go far enough. So like, I'll just do this again. I'll get myself into a position. And so here, when I'm doing this, I'm in front of the shoulder. So it's real easy for me to ask for a backup. If her angle changes and her front end steps 2 steps that way, and her face, now I'm going to try and create that. Maybe not. It's not going to happen. But just imagine where her head is. If I was standing here, where her head is, if her hind end was lined up with that, I'd be at a different angle. I'd be here, which would be a whole lot easier for me to help her move forward, right? So I want to be able to help her move over enough with her front end to allow me into that position to go to the right and circle back around me in this direction. Yeah. So we're almost there. I'm closer. See what we can get. Now she's back, so I'm going to try and draw forward. Draw forward. Touch the hip. Good girl. Now I'm going to try and push a little bit into the shoulder. I'm going to even tap on her neck. Yeah, good girl. Good girl. Just use my arm to bump on her neck to just encourage that. Give her a thought. All she needs is the thought, and she can do the rest. If she understands it and she likes me well enough, she'll just do it. Good girl. Nice step, girl. Nice step. Almost in that spot where I can send her forward. So I'm going to take just a few minutes. Well, maybe not minutes, but I'm going to take a little rest. Maybe give her some pets and let her know she's doing wonderful. She's got some scabs under here. I'm just got to be itchy, so I'm scratching for her. Good girl. And now it's forward. Oh my goodness. You're getting it. Good girl. Right, we got to take away that intimidation factor, you know, and not, I mean, she's trying to intimidate us, but she's intimidated by us. So we've got to remove that so she understands it's a simple request. It's just a conversation. Let's have a conversation.
Yep.
We don't need to yell at each other, you know, and that's kind of how it goes when tools are out.
Yep.
You know, she seems to feel like the tools, nope, you can't do that. That's not allowed. When tools come out, she feels like she's got to fight back. It's like, I know what you're going to do with that, and I'm not going to, I don't approve.
Yeah.
But she's got the wrong idea, because I don't use my tools that way.
Yeah.
You know? Okay. Oh, okay. So what do we got? Nice. Nice. So I'm going to try and send her forward here for a second. I'm going to let her go, and I'm going to try and pull her nose in and push on the hip. She thinking, so if she don't come back before she gets to that fence, then I'm going to say, this means go, girl. This means go. This means come with me. Come with me. Come with me. Nope, we're talking to the left eye. We're talking to the left eye. We're talking to the left eye. So here again, I'm going to say, this means go. Easy, buddy.
Jeez.
And then this means come. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Okay. Good girl. I knew that was a struggle. So let's go over here. Good girl. Now she's quick to put me there. That's good. Checking out the dog, so I'm going to let her be.
She's come quite a ways in a couple days here.
Yeah, yeah. Did you get to see her first, or?
I saw the video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Did you see Monday's session? I did it right here.
Oh, no.
No.
No, I didn't come up Monday.
Okay.
That was, yeah.
She was really horrible on Monday. But I was giving it loose, and I was using her lead rope, and I was kind of spinning it at her, and this is really, really good.
Yeah.
This is really good. What's the timer on that video say?
44.
yeah, I'm thinking this is a good time to quit her.
Okay.
She's doing really good. She's being polite. I might go get her a couple cookies. So I think I'm gonna back out and let her know